The new Red Dragon Archfiend support changes the deck forever. I've been religiously obsessing over the new cards to figure out the best way to play the deck, and today, I'll show you everything.
Subscribe.
So quickly, for those out of the loop, about a week ago a full wave of RDA cards were announced to release in Japan with the set Blazing Dominion. I mean, with a set name like that, it was obvious, okay? We're not gonna get this set in the TCG for like another 6 months, but the cards were so good that I wanted to immediately figure out the new game plan. So there will be makeshift proxies in this video, I hope you don't mind. The deck leading up to this point had some key issues. It was generally weak to every hand trap in the game, had very obvious choke points, had to run enough bricks to build a mansion, and a lot of the time it would get cucked by things like Fuwalos, Droll Nibiru, and Nibiru. We've fixed some of those issues. Not all of them, but the deck is so much smoother.
Previously, if you were to see a hand like this, you would always lose to a single hand trap basically every single time. Even against someone who has no idea what they're doing, they could just throw an imperm at the first thing they see and that would somehow win them the game. Now that's not the case. If you've seen a hand like this, you could give that same opponent 3 imperms and they would still lose. For example, we activate Crimson Gaia. Crimson Gaia adds the Power Vice Dragon. We special summon the Power Vice Dragon. We go Effective Search Resonator. Our opponent just hits that with an imperm, okay? We normal summon Soul, we go Effective Search, they hit that with an imperm as well. Oh no, man, okay, well, we're just gonna synchro these two into the Crimson King Effective Search, that also gets hit with an imperm. 3 imperms down, we're still able to set up an interruption in this example because we go Stone Sweeper at the Vision, we can special summon the Vision, and then synchro into a 10. For example, the Arms of Genix Return 0 is a possibility here, which would give us some interruptions, and then Vision would also trigger to grab the Ruler's Rumbling Trap card as well. The deck is just so much better now, man.
So today I'm going to show you the way I've built the deck to try and be as competitive as possible with the new support. I'm going to take you through all of the new combos and we'll talk a little theory as well. But first, you're going to absolute power force that like button.
Alright, so let's take a look at what the upgraded deck list will look like. Of course, this is only a few days after the support was released, so we're still kind of early days in terms of testing. I haven't really experimented with sub-engines like Centurion or anything like that. I have just focused on the pure build, but there are still a couple of ratios in here that may change in the future. So, getting into it, we'll start with our starters. We have 3 Crimson Gaia, which now basically searches the entire deck. 3 Soul Resonator, 3 of the new Power Vice Dragon, like I said, don't mind the makeshift proxies. And we have 3 Bone Archfiend. So these are all starters, and they are all extenders now. Bone is just a very good normal summon starter now, but we have also maxed out on it because this is very good in your hand against Droll and Lockbird, so we want to see this as much as possible, honestly. On top of that, I'm on 2 copies of Stone Sweeper and 1 copy of Foolish Burial. So basically, any 2-card combo here will put up something versus either Droll or Nib. The worst 2-card combo is probably Sweeper plus Gaia because that doesn't do anything against Droll, but that's the only 2-card combo that loses to Droll. Since we want to see Bone as much as possible going into Droll and Lockbird, that's why we've opted for the copy of Foolish Burial here. Stone Sweeper you can also combo with the Bystials because we are playing a Bystial engine, and that plays really well into hand traps as well. Of course, again, all starters, all extenders, that is 15 good cards right there. Now for the engine requirements and or the bricks, we have 1 Vision Resonator. In testing, I haven't really needed the second one for the grind game just yet, but like everyone online is a bot, so maybe the second will be needed, we'll see in the future. We have the 1 Synchron, the 1 Darkness, and the Ruler's Rumbling Trap card. This is essentially our Plan B button into Nibiru. Every 2-card combo will allow you to get to the trap card with Crimson King, which gives you a 6k unaffected Red Dragon Archfiend. Your opponent can't really kill through that, so it essentially gets you to the turn 3 in an emergency if you do get nibbed. This can be stopped by a Bell or an Impulse, which is kind of unfortunate. I think you need to play 1 more engine requirement and or brick, and I have opted to play the Crimson Call. This card is really good, very slept on. It really glues it all together, but I think this is only good for me because I'm not playing the Crimson Resonator. Now what I mean by Crimson Call gluing everything together is that it allows your Crimson King to search for Bone, it allows your Vision to search for Synchron, it allows your Gaia to search for Synchron or Bone as well. It is very flexible and comes up in a lot of interesting game states, going second as well. And the Graveyard effect comes up so often. It allows you to secure games on the spot where you wouldn't otherwise. For example, if your opponent has attack position monsters and defense position monsters, you can can use Scard to blow up the attack position monsters. Red Dragon Archfiend clears all the defense position monsters, but then you're one attack short for game. So that's where the graveyard effect of Crimson Call comes up, and it genuinely comes up a lot. This card is really, really good. Now, you could replace this with Crimson Resonator, right? Crimson strengthens all of your 1-card combos and gets you to the full boards, but then if you open a 2-card combo, it doesn't really increase the ceiling unless you play Supernova as well, I guess. I also just don't really like this card because this card is the reason that our deck was weak to everything. It still bottlenecks a few of the combo lines into resolving Red Rising, summon back this, which means you can just lose to a Bystial or like a Bell randomly, when if you're playing without it, that doesn't happen. I am personally on the Crimson Call sauce, but Crimson Resonator is of course also an option. I do feel like the lines with this are a little bit weird, but yeah, I have actually not missed this card. We are playing a Bystial engine because the Bystials are now searchable, which is very, very strong. And so I have 1 copy of Lubellion, 1 copy of Magna, and 1 copy of Baldrake for going first. I have a Druis Worm for going second, and the final engine card is Called by the Grave. I think this card is mandatory for us because we can essentially stop 2 hand traps with this, right? Not only can it banish 2 of our hardest counters, Droll and Fuwalos, but giving our opponent a banished card means we can go into an early Dispatter and then we don't have to fear Nibiru. So Called by the Grave is very, very good. If you do feel like you don't have enough starters in the deck, then I wouldn't be opposed to dropping the Druis Worm and playing like a Prosperity or some other engine card. But as of right now, this feels pretty clean. Dude, everything being a starter and extender is so good. Then for the non-engine, the most important one is 3 Dominus Impulse. You might be thinking, dude, Impulse conflicts with the Lubellion. No, it doesn't, because Lubellion going first, Impulse doesn't matter. Then going second, you side out the Lubellion. As simple as that. There's only one point where it conflicts, when in game 1, you go second and you open both your 1-card Lubellion and Impulse. Like, that's such a niche scenario. If it happens, unlucky, I guess. You can play like Levianeer in its place. It does also give you that extension through Dispatter, but Lubellion is just so much better to see in your opening hand than Levianeer. Rest of the non-engine, obviously it doesn't really matter because like the format is going to be 6 months from now, but yeah, 15 hand traps, of course, we got all the best ones here. And that is my main deck, and so far it has been very, very good. All right, now getting onto the extra deck. Our extra deck actually feels kind of flexible, so I will go through the cards that I think are mandatory first, and then we'll have the additional options. We have 2 Red Rising Dragon, 1 Crimson Blade Dragon, 1 Zarin the Chainbound Dragon, the Crimson King, Scarred, 2 OG Red Dragon Archfiend. I did try going down to 1, but then I missed the second one, so we're playing 2. Abyss and Dispatter. These are all mandatory in the list. The rest is where it gets kind of flexible, and interestingly enough, because we don't lock ourselves for the turn with Crimson Resonator, and we do play the Crimson Call, we could play something like Super Poly. It locks us out of using Red Rising Dragon, but because we have Crimson Call, we don't have to rely on the Red Rising Dragon as much. So that's just worth noting. I do have here a Quibelt, which is still fine going second, you know, to pop back row and things. Scarlight is very good, especially when it's unaffected through the effect of the Rumbling. We got Bane, and then Samsara and the Arms of Gen X Return 0. This comes up quite a lot, honestly, when we're getting interrupted. For example, if we have like a Power Vice Dragon as our only starter, and it gets negated for some reason, we could normal summon Ash to go into the Crimson King, and then search Vision. We can then synchro with the Crimson King into the Arms of Gen X Return 0, giving us negates with the Fire and Dark attributes engrave, and then Vision Resonator can search for the trap card, which gives us that survivability as well. So I do think this is really good at the moment. Samsara might be cope because this is for a specific 2-card Nibiru line, which is kind of like a gamble, right? Because that line plays into Droll when you could play it safer. But yeah, I also want to fit a Chaos Angel in here, so maybe we just cut the Samsara and play Chaos Angel. But yeah, that is the list. Now we have a lot of combos to talk about, so let's get into all of the combos, baby. Before we get into the combos, you need to first understand what the end board pieces are that you're trying to get into. So this is the full board that you can make with any of your 2-card combinations, and then your 1-card combos will get to a certain number of these different interruptions. First up, we have Zarin the Chainbound Dragon. This is essentially an Omni Negate that you can trigger with your quick effect on Bystial Baldrake. So your opponent activates something that you want to negate, you can chain your Baldrake in hand and then chain Zarin to negate their card that is Chainlink 1. Of course, we have Dispater and Abyss. Baldrake would be in hand, but Baldrake is also an interruption on field. And then we have the Ruler's Rumbling Trap card, which would most likely summon back the Crimson King and get us to the red Dragon Archfiend towers. Now, post side going first, you can also side in a target for your Lubalian. That could be Branded Beast, Branded Regained, Etude the Branded, whichever one fits the meta best, which is a good number of interruptions. It's a very strong board. It's also worth noting that if you get like Dark Rulered, for example, we can't negate it with Abyss, unfortunately. So something that you could do is tribute one of your synchros with the Baldrake and then summon it back with the trap card, and therefore it's no longer negated. But then you would lose access to summoning back the Crimson King that way. So something else you could do is Baldrake tribute the Dispater, and then Regained can summon it back to also get around the Dark Ruler. So yeah, the goal is to make as much of these as possible, and I'm going to show you how. Now, these are your 4 different 1-card starters, each with their own combo sequence. So let's go through these one at a time. Alright, starting off with our 1-card Power Vice combo, we're going to special summon it to the field and effect to add the Darkness Resonator. We'll activate the effect of Darkness Resonator, revealing red Dragon Archfiend to special summon itself. Effect on summon will give us an additional normal of a Resonator. Now we can synchro these two into the Crimson King. Effect on summon, we'll add the Crimson Gaia. We'll activate Crimson Gaia. Gaia effect will grab us the soul. We can normal summon the soul. Soul effect will get us the bone. We can then use our normal summon on the bone. We have to make sure that it was our additional normal summon we used on the soul. But yeah, normal summon bone here. Bone effect, target himself. That's going to send the vision to grave to increase his level to 5. Vision will trigger, adding the Crimson Call. Because we control the Crimson King, we can activate Crimson Call, adding Synchron from the deck. We'll then special summon the Synchron and synchro with the bone into the Red Rising. Chainlink 1 target Synchron, Chainlink 2 Synchron, adding back the vision. From here, we'll synchro with the Synchron into the Zarin. Synchron will trigger once again, adding the Darkness from grave. And then we can special the bone from the graveyard by sending the Darkness back to grave here. Synchro the soul and the bone into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Effect on summon is going to grab the Lubalian from the deck. Now we can just activate the Lubalian to get to the Magna. Special summon the Vision and synchro with the Crimson King into the Bystial Sweeper. We'll activate Magna, targeting the Vision, banishing the Vision to special summon itself. Effect on summon, this pattern can summon back the Vision and synchro with the Crimson Blade Dragon into our Abyss. We can then tribute Magna to summon back the Lubalian, and then Lubalian can place whichever target you have sided in. And that is combo number 1. We are missing the trap card, that's all. Alright, here's the soul combo. This does require a discard, so we're going to normal summon the soul. Effect is going to add the bone. We'll activate the effect of the bone, sending a card to grave to special summon itself. We go effect target soul, dumping the Vision to graveyard, increase the level of soul. Vision will trigger, adding the Crimson Gaia. We can then synchro these two into the Crimson King. Crimson King effect will add the Ruler's Rumbling. From there, we'll activate Gaia. Gaia effect is going to add the Power Vice Dragon. We can special summon the Power Vice Dragon. Effect is going to add the Synchron. Special summon Synchron. Synchro Shokan into the Red Rising. Chainlink 1 Red Rising, targeting the Synchron. Chainlink 2 Synchron is going to add back the Vision. From here, we will synchro these two into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Blade Dragon effect is going to add us the Rebellion. We'll just send the Lubalian to graveyard to add the Magna, and then we'll special summon the Vision and synchro with the Crimson King into the Bystial Sweeper. We'll then go effect of Magna, banishing Vision from graveyard to special summon itself. Effect on summon. Dispater can then summon back the Vision, and we can synchro with the Crimson Blades into our Abyss. Tribute the Magna to special summon Lubalian, set our trap. Lubalian can of course place a target if you have one post side, and end phase, Magna will get the Baldrake to hand, and that is the soul combo. This time we do have the trap card, but we're missing the Zarin. Alright, just the normal summon bone combo this time. We normal summon the bone and go effect target itself, sending Vision to grave to increase its level to 5. Vision will trigger, adding us the Crimson Gaia. Activate Crimson Gaia and its effect to get the Darkness Resonator. Effect of Darkness to special summon itself. Effect on summon gives us that additional normal summon, and we can then synchro with the level 5 bone into the Crimson King. Crimson King effect on summon will add the Power Vice Dragon. We'll then special summon Power Vice and go effect to add the Soul Resonator. Normal summon the Soul. Soul effect will add the Synchron. We can just special summon the Synchron and synchro with the Power Vice. That's going to bring out the Red Rising. Chain 1 Red Rising, target the Synchron. Chain 2 Synchron, add back the Vision Resonator. And from here, we will make the Zarin, which will of course trigger the Synchron once again to get the Darkness into hand. We'll then special summon Bone from grave by sending the Darkness and synchro with the Soul. into the Crimson Blade Dragon effect. It's going to add the Lubellion. Then we'll just go effect of Lubellion to add the Magna. Special summon Vision to the field and then synchro with the Crimson King into the Bystial Dispater. We'll go Magna effect targeting the Vision to banish it. Special summon the Magna, Magna effect on summon. Dispater once again summons back the Vision, and we synchro it with the Crimson Blade Dragon into our Abyss. As always, we'll tribute Magna to special summon out Lubellion. Lubellion can place whichever target you have, and end phase we'll get the Baldrake to hand as well. So all of our 1-card combos get to basically the full board, missing one piece. Alright, now with the Crimson Gaia, you might be thinking, what do you add? Power Vice Dragon or Soul? Either way, you're going to lose to Droll and Lockbird, so which is the best line into Nibiru? In this list specifically, the Soul line is better because you get access to the trap, and therefore you have a plan B through Nibiru, whereas if you go through the Power Vice Dragon, you have nothing against Nibiru. So we are going to activate the Gaia, and Gaia is going to grab us the Soul. We'll normal summon the Soul. Soul effect will add the Bone. We'll activate Boner, pitching a card from hand. We could pitch the Gaia if we were really desperate. But yeah, we'll go Bone, target Soul, sending Vision to the graveyard. Vision effect is going to add the trap card here. We can then synchro these two into the Crimson King. Crimson King will search for the Power Vice Dragon. We'll special summon the Power Vice. Power Vice will search for the Synchron, special Synchron, and synchro these two into the Red Rising. Chain 1 Synchron adds back the Vision. Chain 2 Rising summons back the Synchron. We're then going to synchro these two into the Crimson Blade Dragon, and we're not going to activate the effect of Synchron here because the only other Resonator in Grave is Soul, which would be good for follow-up, but we want to keep it in Graveyard for that protection effect. So we just activate the Crimson Blade, getting us to our Lubellion, and Lubellion, of course, gets us to our Magna. Special summon the Vision to the field and synchro with the Crimson King into the Bystial Dispater, and then Magna is going to banish the Vision, as always, to special summon itself to the field, effect on summon. Dispater will summon back the Vision, and we can synchro with the Crimson Blade into the Abyss. Tribute Magna for Lubellion. Lubellion effect can place whichever target you're running, set the trap, and grab your Baldrake in the end phase as well. And that is the 4 main 1-card combos. Now, all of the different 2-card combos are pretty self-explanatory, but we'll go through one example here just so you actually understand. Throughout all of the combos, you are basically searching for every piece you need, right? So if you have a 2-card combo, that means you have one of the pieces that you would usually search, and so you have one free additional search to get to that missing piece. For example here, we'll start with the Power Vice Dragon, and then effect on summon, we're going to add the Darkness. We'll special summon the Darkness. Effect on summon gives us that additional normal summon. We'll synchro these two into the Crimson King, and Crimson King effect will add the Crimson Gaia. We'll activate Crimson Gaia and its effect to add Soul to hand, use our additional normal summon on Soul, and with the Soul effect, because we already have Bone in hand, we can add Synchron, which means when we dump the Vision with Bone, instead of searching for Crimson Call to search for the Synchron, we can now just search for the trap card. So doing just that, we'll use our normal summon on Bone. Bone effect target itself, sending a Vision to grave to increase it to level 5. Vision effect gets the trap card to hand. We'll special the Synchron and then synchro with the Bone into the Red Rising. Chain link 1, Red Rising, target Synchron. Chain 2, Synchron adds back the Vision, and then we'll synchro with the Red Rising into our Zarin. Once again, Synchron triggering to add back the Darkness. We'll activate Bone and Grave, sending Darkness to special summon itself back to the field, and we just go through the rest of the combo as you would expect. We synchro into the Crimson Blade. Crimson Blade searches for Lubellion. We'll go Lubellion effect to add the Magnamut, special summon the Vision, synchro with the Crimson King into the Bystial Dispater. Magnamut will banish the Vision to special summon itself to the field, effect on summon. Dispater can summon back the Vision. Vision plus the Crimson Blade will get us to the Abyss, and then we'll tribute the Magna to special back the Lubellion. Lubellion effect to place whichever target we have, set the trap, end phase, we get to the Baldrake. And it's pretty much the same concept for every other 2-card combo as well. You're just getting a free search because you already have one of the cards that you would normally search in hand alongside your starter. Alright, so now that we've established how to actually play the deck and combo, let's talk about the elephant in the room, and that is Droll and Nibiru. Pretty much all of our 2-card combos is able to do something against either of these cards, so we just need to take note of which 1-card combos can attempt to play into either of these. So far, we've basically established that Soul, Gaia, and Sweeper can all play into Nibiru because they get access to the Rumbling Trap card regardless of whether we get Nibiru'd or not. And when it comes to Droll, we have 2 1-card starters that can at least put up something against it, and that is the Power Vice Dragon and the Soul Resonator. Unfortunately, Bone as a starter cannot do anything by itself into either of these cards. I will show you the 2-card combo that can negate Nibiru as summon number 5, but first let's start with the plays into Droll and Lockbird. If we have Bone in our opener alongside Vice or Soul, we're able to take it a step further as well. So in the case of Droll and Lockbird, let's say our starter is Power Vice, we start by special summoning the Power Vice and its effect grabs us the Darkness Resonator. We get hit with a Droll and Lockbird. Okay, so we reveal Red Dragon Archfiend to special summon the Darkness Resonator, then we activate its effect on field, reducing its level to 1. We can then synchro with the Power Vice into the Red Rising. Red Rising summons back the Darkness, and this way we can at least end on an Abyss. And because our deck list is so non-engine heavy, we hopefully have like 2 or 3 different hand traps to pair alongside the Abyss. Now similarly with Soul into Droll, we normal summon the Soul, Soul effect grabs the Bone, and then we get hit with Droll and Lockbird. This does take up another card in hand, but we have to special summon the Bone. Bone effect target Soul is going to dump just another Soul, I guess, to reduce the level of Soul to 2. We can then synchro into the Red Rising summons back the Soul, and then we synchro into the Abyss once again here. And finally, more interestingly, when we have the Power Vice and the Bone in hand, we are of course going to start with the Power Vice effect that's going to grab the Darkness. Our opponent hits us with the Droll and Lockbird. Sure, we can special summon the Darkness, normal summon the Bone, and go Bone effect target itself, send Synchron to grave to reduce its level. We'll then go Darkness effect target itself to reduce its level to 1, synchro with the Power Vice into the Red Rising. Red Rising can summon back the Synchron. We can then synchro these two into the Zarin. That will trigger the Synchron Engrave to add back the Darkness Resonator. We can use our additional normal summon on the Darkness Resonator and then synchro with the level 3 Bone into another copy of the Red Rising. This time Red Rising will summon back the Darkness Resonator, and we can at least end on Zarin plus Abyss. So we traded our 2 cards in hand for 2 interruptions on field, hopefully leaving us with some hand traps there as well. So we do have some plays into Droll and Nibiru, but they do very much hurt. Alright, so here is the 1-2 card combo that actually has a play into both Droll and Nibiru. If you get Drolled, you can put up an interruption. If you get Nibiru'd, you still have a full board because you can negate Nibiru from summon number 5 onwards. And that is going to be the Power Vice Dragon plus the Soul, and we will start with the Power Vice Dragon. Power Vice Dragon is going to add the Vision Resonator, and if we get Drolled, this is like worst case scenario. We would have to give up all of our follow-up to put an interruption on the board, but that's better than just straight up losing. So we'd have to normal summon Soul and then synchro these two. We could make like Crimson King and hope that that's enough to survive on our opponent's field, you know, a 6k Red Dragon Archfiend that can't be destroyed by card effects. Here we could just make a throwaway level 8 synchro, special summon the Vision, and synchro into the Gen X Return 0, which would have a fire negate and a dark negate. But that's literally it. Alternatively, we could end on a Dispatter with a Red Dragon Archfiend. The Soul would be banished from the end phase of Red Dragon Archfiend's effect, so it's literally like a Dispatter pop that we would have, plus, you know, Red Dragon Archfiend on the board. Like, we could end on this as well, if we go through Scarred instead of Scarlight. Assuming we get Drolled, which is worst case scenario. If we were to play the normal combo lines, we would have an Abyss plus follow-up, I guess. So it's like marginally better into Droll if we play normally, but a lot worse into Nibiru if we play normally. So let's look at the Nibiru line. We are, of course, like I said, going to start with the Power Vice Dragon. Power Vice is going to add the Vision. Then we can special summon the Vision and synchro these two into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Chainlink 1 Vision, Chainlink 2 Crimson Blade is going to add the Lubellion and the Crimson Gaia. We will fire off the Lubellion effect, sending itself to grave to add the Magna to hand. Then we'll activate the Crimson Gaia and its effect to grab the Darkness Resonator. We'll use the effect of Darkness to special summon itself, effect to gain an additional normal summon, and then as summon number 5, we can make the Arms of Gen X Return 0, and we do have the Light and Graveyard, so from this point onwards, we can negate and destroy Nibiru. If you don't know what Arms of Gen X Return 0 does, when our opponent activates a monster effect, we can chain this, banishing a monster from our graveyard that has the same attribute as the monster effect that was activated as cost, then negate that effect and destroy that monster. It's not once per turn, but it is once per attribute. So right now we can negate and destroy a light monster and a dark monster, and then that would be a fire monster as well by the end of the combo. So yeah, let's say summon number 5. Our opponent activates Nibiru, we chain Gen X Return 0, banishing Lubellion for cost, and Nibiru is negated. We are locked out of playing Red Rising Dragon, that's why the combo has to get a little interesting. We're going to use our additional normal summon here on the Soul, and Soul will add a Bone Archfiend. We can special summon the Bone by sending a card to graveyard. We'll send the Crimson Gaia here, but it could be an additional card in hand. Then we'll activate the effect of Bone, targeting Soul, sending Synchron to grave to increase Soul's level to 4. We can then activate the Magnamut in hand, banishing the Synchron to special summon itself to the field. Effect on summon. 6+4 makes the Bystial Dispatcher. Dispatcher can then summon the Synchron back to the field and will synchro with the Bone into the Samsara. And that's why we have to play the Samsara, because that will trigger the Synchron to add back the Darkness to hand. And we can use our other normal summon on the Darkness to then synchro with the Samsara into the Crimson King. Now, Crimson King's effect on summon is going to grab the Ruler's Rumbling to really layer our board, guarantee that we survive our opponent's turn because we get access to the Red Dragon Archfiend 6k towers, but we also have a bunch of negates here, as well as in the end phase, getting the Baldrake off of Magna as well. If we really wanted to, we could give up the search for the trap and search for Crimson Call instead, and then Crimson Call could add the Synchron back from the graveyard to then special summon it to the field and synchro into an Abyss with the Crimson King, but I do think that the Ruler's Rumbling is just a better card to have here. But yeah, that is why we are playing the Samsara in the extra deck. Alright, let's talk about the importance of sequencing. When you're playing out your turn, you always want to be aware that your opponent can interrupt you at any time, so you want to have a backup plan in your mind as much as possible. For example here, if we start with Soul and Soul gets hit with an Imperm, Crimson Gaia adding the Power Vice Dragon doesn't do anything because Power Vice Dragon cannot special summon itself to the field while we have a Soul on the field. So the correct sequence here would be activating Crimson Gaia to add the Power Vice Dragon and start by activating the Power Vice Dragon. You go effect to search. If that gets stopped, we can normal summon Soul, we're fine. Power Vice adds the Darkness, we go effect to special, effect to gain an additional normal summon, and then synchro into the Crimson King. Now, of course, the trap card is our plan B into Nibiru, but if we add the trap card here off of the Crimson King and then Soul gets hit with an Imperm, that basically loses a lot of value to a singular Imperm. So here off of the Crimson King, if we want to guarantee that our next play is live, we would have to add the Crimson Call. This is also still going to be okay into Nibiru, so we're going to use our additional normal summon on Soul. If Soul gets negated, we can use the Crimson Call to search for Bone that way. If Soul doesn't get negated, we can add the Bone. We'll then use our other normal summon on the Bone, and that is our 5th summon. If we get Nibiru here and we don't have the trap, surely we're fucked, right? This is actually fine for us because we're now able to punish our opponent by gaining access to other interruptions that we otherwise wouldn't have if they had Nibiru at the correct time. So for example here, we can activate the effect of Bone to special summon itself, and then the effect target itself sending the Vision to the graveyard. Vision will trigger, and this is how we're going to get to the trap cards. If our opponent did not Nibiru us on the normal summon of Bone, we were going to Bone effect dump the Vision anyway, so we got to the trap either way. Now we can activate Crimson Call. We don't have to have the Synchro on the field. We can add from graveyard, so we'll add the Vision from grave. And because Bone is level 5 now, we can special summon the Vision and synchro into the Crimson Blade Dragon. Effect on summon is going to get us to our Bystial cards, which gets us an additional couple of interruptions by searching the Magna, activate the effect of Magna, banish. I don't think anything here really matters. We can banish the Crimson King because it comes back off of the trap card anyway. Special the Magna, Magna effect. We contribute the Magna for Rebellion. Rebellion effect can place a target if we have one. And then end phase, we get the Baldrake. So we kept our plays live throughout the entire sequence. We got to the trap card regardless of Nibiru. And in this situation, we were able to get to our Bystials on top of the trap card as well. All right, let's do Sweeper plus a Bystial. So you could just go for the 1-card combo, you know, add Soul, normal summon Soul, but then you would lose to an Impermanent Ash. You know, any hand trap on Soul would end your turn there. But if you play it with the Bystial, you're actually able to beat a hand trap or two. So we are going to start by activating the Sweeper to grab Vision. We'll then activate Druid's Worm, banishing our Sweeper to special summon it to the field. Now we can special summon our Vision. Synchro these two into the Crimson King, Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 Vision. So we're going to get the Crimson Gaia and the Power Vice to hand here. Now Crimson Gaia is your backup. You're going to play with the Power Vice, and if you get interrupted, you'll use the Crimson Gaia to search whatever you need to keep playing. If you don't get interrupted, then Crimson Gaia is there to get to the trap so that you're kind of safe around the Nibiru as well. So Special summon the Power Vice effect, we'll grab the Soul Resonator. Normal summon Soul, Soul effect, we're going to add the Darkness Resonator here. We don't really benefit from getting the Synchron, I'd rather have it in deck. So yeah, Darkness effect to special summon itself, effect to give us an additional normal, doesn't really matter. We'll go effect to make it level 1, and then Synchro with the Power Vice into the Red Rising. Red Rising effect is going to bring back the Vision, and then we can Synchro with the Crimson King into the Dispatcher, and then the Red Rising plus the Soul into Abyss. Then we just activate the Crimson Gaia. Gaia effect gets us to the trap card, and that is going to be our board with the Sweeper plus the Bystial. You could also get to the full main board without the trap, but again, that's like throwing everything away to a Dark Ruler or a Nibiru. So this is probably the safer line. So obviously all of the combos that I've been showing you have been involving my build that doesn't play the Crimson Resonator. I don't want to be too biased, so I guess it's only fair that I show you a combo that does involve the Crimson Resonator. And this is just going to be the 1-card Soul combo. So normal summon Soul, well I guess 1.5 cards because we're going to discard a card. Soul effect will add the Bone, we'll activate Bone, sending a card to grave to special summon itself. Bone effect target Soul, we'll dump the Crimson to reduce its level. We'll then Synchro into the Red Rising summons back the Crimson. Or we get Bystialed against a branded Andy. Crimson effect, summon 2 from deck, we're going to summon the Vision and the Darkness. Darkness on summon will give us an additional normal summon, but from here we will use the Darkness effect on field, reducing itself to level 1 and the Vision to level 1. We're then going to Synchro the level 1 Darkness with the Red Rising into the Crimson Blade Dragon effect to add the Lubellion, and then the level 1 Vision with the Crimson into the Crimson King. Chain 1 Crimson King, chain 2 Vision. It's going to grab us the Crimson Gaia and the Power Vice Dragon to hand here. Then because our board needs to be either Synchro monsters or no monsters to activate the Power Vice, we Synchro once again up into the Bystial Dispatcher. Now we can activate Power Vice Dragon to special summon itself, and effect on summon, we'll add the Synchron. We can special summon the Synchron and Synchro once again into Red Rising number 2. Chainlink 1 Red Rising is going to summon back the Synchron. Chainlink 2 Synchron will add back the Vision. We're going to activate Lubellion to search for the Magna. Then we're going to activate the Magna, targeting the Crimson Blade. So that will banish the Crimson Blade to special summon the Magna. We can then special summon the Vision, and then Dispatter can summon back the Crimson Blade, and we can Synchro with the Vision into Abyss. The reason we sequenced it like that is so that we can Synchro with the Red Rising and Synchron into the Zarin, and now Synchron can add back the Vision so that we actually have follow-up in hand for next turn with the Bone in Graveyard. Activating Crimson Gaia, we can activate the effect to search for the Rumbling Trap, set the trap, tribute Magna for the Lubellion effect if we have a target, and then end phase, we get the Baldrake there as well. So the 1-card Soul combo is definitely a lot better if we play the Crimson, but it's like a lot worse into Bell and Bystials and things like that. So it's like ceiling versus like extra lose conditions, I guess.
We can go on and on about combos and sequences, but the video is over half an hour at this point, so we should probably try and round it up. Overall, with the new support, the core of the deck becomes very competent, and there's no clear, obvious choke point if you're not playing Crimson Resonator. This makes the deck a lot better into average 1-for-1 hand traps, and we don't really care as much about Bystials and Bell anymore. We've also been able to cut down on the bricks and engine requirements, which is very, very good from a hand quality standpoint. Unfortunately, cards like Droll, Fuelos, Perulia, and Nibiru all trade so favorably into our deck that probably gatekeeps us from being an actual competitive strategy. So ideally, we find a way to build around those cards, which probably involves a different sub-engine. Honestly, Centurion is sounding better and better the more I say it out loud, so I'll probably be testing that myself next. If you say Mitsurugi, you're banned. The problem then just goes back to having too many bricks in the deck, so it's definitely something that needs figured out. If you're a Red Dragon Archfiend player yourself and you think I'm totally wrong about the deck or anything like that, let me know in the comments. I'm totally open to discussion. Those conversations are how we get to a better build together. But yeah, I'm gonna go back to experimenting with the cards a bit more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.